If that's our standard for goodness, no wonder this country's screwed.
There are all kinds of interesting characters in the city of Los Santos and beyond, from simple thugs and everyday citizens to drug lords and government agents. In a world of criminals, morality can be a tough subject. I'm Kifinosi with One Up Binge, and this is Grand Theft Auto 5 characters, good to evil. A few quick disclaimers before we begin. We know that there are only a few truly good people in this game, as the GTA universe is known for its criminals of all types. Therefore, the good end of today's spectrum will have some pretty low standards, as we'll be focusing on positive moral actions the characters display in reference to any criminal actions they have under their belt. In addition, we're primarily focusing on the moralities of the characters through the story-centric missions as well as the canonical ending. If you're blowing up civilians with rocket launchers in between missions, that's on you. As usual, we'll start with the most noble character and work our way down to the most evil. The characters in this category are the good. The gold medal for good goes to Floyd Herbert. Floyd is a man who's always tried to do right, even regretting stealing a pencil in elementary school all the way to his adult life. Because of his morals, he's easily pushed over and bullied into Trevor's schemes for money.
I don't want to.
He's forced into being an accessory to help get information and cargo out of the port he works for. Trevor offers Floyd the chance to walk away from the heists, but the meek man can't due to running operations in his apartment and robbing his workplace. He is able to stand up to Trevor in his final appearance in the game, but it unfortunately comes at the cost of his and his fiance's lives. The silver medal of goodness goes to Agent Dave Norton. This FIB agent became well known in the news for taking down the notorious stick-up man Michael Townley, but that's only a fraction of the story. Norton initially made a deal with Michael that the criminal would avoid going to jail if he gave up his partner Trevor Phillips, who was considered the most dangerous criminal in the country. Because of a fluke in the plan, a new deal was struck where Michael was to exchange information for a pension and witness protection. Due to Michael coming out of criminal retirement, Agent Norton initially berates him and warns him about not being able to protect him this time around, especially if Trevor was to ever find out about their involvement. However, Dave uses this leverage to puppet Michael into doing various jobs for the FIB, such as breaking into various government facilities to retrieve information. It does all work out in the end, and Agent Norton is kept around to make sure that all potentially loose ends are tied up with his involvement. The bronze medal of goodness goes to Patricia Madrazo. This gang leader's wife is a lovely and devoted woman when we first meet her. She's willing to do tasks for her husband, but is occasionally verbally abused by him when his standards aren't met. As revenge for not getting paid properly for work and seeing her abused by Martin, Patricia is kidnapped by Trevor and he forces himself and Michael to lie low. Patricia isn't at all frightened by Trevor, claiming that she knows he's a good man deep down inside.
Gasolina? No.
She begins to form a relationship with him, cleaning his trailer and enjoying his company until she decides she has to return to her husband. In the post-game, Patricia will occasionally call Trevor and reminisce about their time together, showing that she genuinely cared for him. The first of our protagonists, we now come to Franklin Clinton. After being a street hustler and a small-time robber for most of his childhood and having previously been to prison, Franklin begins to work for Simeon Yetarian doing car repossession. The young man believes it to be a legitimate business, despite the fact that it clearly is a front for credit card fraud and extortion. But he does it to avoid reverting back to his gangbanger lifestyle. After Michael's involvement gets him fired, Franklin becomes a mentee and joins on for various heists in the storyline. Due to his age, Franklin is still relatively naive and ends up being a pawn in various characters' games. Lamar's desires to move up in the gang usually end up with Franklin rescuing him. Lester has the young man perform several hitman missions for his own personal benefit, and Devin Weston takes advantage of Franklin's repo knowledge to perform some retrievals with no pay.
It seems like all I do is let people tell me what to do and I do it and nothing changed.
Towards the end of the game, Franklin's approached by Devin Weston and both of the FIB agents who each want him to kill a respective mentor. In the canon ending, Franklin doesn't have the heart to do so and manages to form a plan to save both Michael and Trevor. After him is Tracy DeSanta. The older of the DeSanta kids, this young woman is the more responsible of the two. All she desires to do is hang out with friends and make it onto her favorite show, Fame or Shame. When her father comes after her on a yacht, believing her to be involved with the adult film producers she's friends with, she's shocked and appalled to think that he believes she's performing such actions. She attempts to audition for Fame or Shame later in the game, only to embarrass herself on TV, especially when host Laszlo starts making advancements towards her. When Amanda and the kids move out of their home, Tracy will occasionally check in to make sure her father's okay, but does not want to talk to him. She attempts to get back on the show, but apparently only can if she satisfies Laszlo, to which Michael steps in and makes sure she gets what she wants without coercion. The next of our protagonists to be ranked is Michael DeSanta. After spending several decades living a life of crime, Michael made a deal to get him and his family into witness protection, avoiding jail, in exchange exchange for providing information about his involvement with Trevor Phillips. In his retirement, Michael deals with the men Amanda cheats on him with, bails Jimmy out of a few of the unwise decisions he makes, and tries to convince Franklin to go legitimate after the repo business goes south. However, Michael is forced to come out of crime retirement and immediately draws the attention of the agent he worked with and his former crime partner Trevor. He does several jobs for the FIB in exchange for his files eventually getting erased, and involves himself with Trevor in an attempt to keep the rest of his family safe from him.
You're right. I did do that.
Despite consistently being dealt terrible hands in life, Michael tries to work with what he's got and make the most out of every situation he's put into, prioritizing the safety and the well-being of those he cares about before his own. Rounding out our good category is James Jimmy DeSanta. Between the two DeSanta children, Jimmy is the more problematic and difficult to deal with. He falls for a credit card fraud and gets kidnapped attempting to sell the family yacht to some gangsters in his first appearances. Jimmy spends most of his time playing video games and insulting the people he's in sessions with, though his worst deed is when he ends up allowing Michael to consume a drink spiked with an anesthetic, endangering the two of them while he drives. However, Jimmy takes the initiative to reunite the family when they realize how unhappy they are without Michael. Jimmy also manages to redeem himself when he's able to rescue Michael during the mercenary invasion in the house. With the good characters wrapped up, we now move into more neutral territory. These characters fall in the gray area. Starting off this category is Lester Crest. Lester is the technology expert and the main heist planner in the game. He's able to track down almost every kind of information, disable alarms, and generally create technology that can fulfill his desires. The main protagonists look to Lester whenever they need to make any money, and Lester's usually able to help them plan a heist, or in Franklin's case, give him targets to take out for stock payouts. Though he's usually the planning mastermind of the heists in-game, Lester only ever gets involved if he's promised financial incentive to do so. He does have some desires to take out nefarious individuals in the corporate world, but it's primarily for his own financial gain. Lester does show some genuine care for the protagonists in the canon ending of the game by helping Franklin create a plan to save both Michael and Trevor, as well as getting them some locations of a few troublesome people they need to take out. We're ranking Trevor's two business associates, Wade Herbert and Ron Jakowski, together. These two associates both came to know Trevor when he randomly showed up in their lives. Trevor took Wade under his wing when his two friends disappeared, and Trevor's involvement with Ron ruined his marriage and caused him to fall into a messy divorce. Wade and Ron both work to make money or drugs to a certain degree.
No! No bag!
But a lot of their involvement hinges on their fear of Trevor, his unpredictable and rageful nature among the only things keeping Wade and Ron involved with him. Amanda DeSanta comes after them. Throughout the story, we learn about how much Amanda cares for her family. She was willing to give up her previous life to go into witness protection with Michael for the safety of everyone. When Trevor comes back into Michael's life and the two start getting into trouble again, Amanda tries to remind Michael of how he's endangering them and eventually moves out with the kids for their well-being. Also, throughout the story, we learn that Amanda is unfortunately not a faithful wife to Michael, having slept with several men in the duration of their marriage. While this behavior is not to be condoned, it's implied that she did it as revenge for Michael constantly putting the family in danger when he promised he wouldn't. She is able to reconcile with Michael towards the end of the game after a therapy session where the two of them release years of pent-up anger, bringing the family back together. Rounding out this category is Lamar Davis. Lamar wants nothing more than to be a rich and well-known gangster in Los Santos. He helps Franklin with the car repossession at the beginning of the game and then moves on to various gang-related crimes after they both leave the dealership. Lamar tries to set up or comes along on various plots to make money, but they always seem to end in shootouts. The worst of these being towards the end of the game where he gets kidnapped during a set-up drug deal. Despite Franklin continually rescuing him from every situation that goes south and trying to talk some sense into him, Lamar refuses to heed this advice until after the kidnapping. Lamar does make himself useful to the protagonists in the canon ending where he alerts the trio when their adversaries arrive at the foundry and then helps them in the ensuing fight. With our gray area complete, we now enter the dark side. These characters are the bad and the evil. The final of our three protagonists, we now come to Trevor Phillips. When this psychotic drug dealer is around, chaos is sure to follow. Trevor has no regrets when it comes to intimidating, attacking, and or killing whomever he has to in order to make sure his goals are met. His two associates primarily work with him out of fear of any harm being done to them. Trevor also makes it his mission throughout the game to take out every possible rival drug business in the area so that he can be the only one in operation. Trevor had been in a criminal partnership with Michael for several years until their heist in North Yankton went south. Michael got shot and Trevor ended up evading capture. After learning that Michael hadn't died like he was led to believe, Trevor made it his personal mission to track down his former best friend and make his life hell for forcing him to grieve for so long.
My job
My score? Get your own!
While it is important to recognize that Trevor makes psychopathic decisions needlessly, there are other factors at play underneath that frightening exterior. We know through his conversation with Wade heading into Los Santos that Trevor was deemed mentally unstable for the Air Force, and compounding that instability with meth probably didn't help his case any further. However, Trevor does show that deep down he has some good in him. Despite Michael betraying him, Trevor still cares for him and his family. He warms up quickly to both Franklin and Lamar and helps them with the drug deal gone wrong, and lets Ferdinand Kerimov go after torturing him, despite being ordered to dispose of him. Coming afterwards is Martin Madrazo. After pulling down his mistress's deck, Martin Madrazo quickly makes himself known to Michael and Franklin. He beats the former bank robber and forces him to finance a rebuild to avoid further retaliation. Martin prides himself on being a legitimate businessman, but in actuality he's the lord of a drug cartel and is responsible for silencing witnesses in his cases. He even employs Michael and Trevor to take out his own cousin when it's revealed that he will testify against Madrazo. We also see him treat his wife so poorly that Trevor takes it upon himself to attack Martin and kidnap his wife. However, when Patricia does return home, Martin acknowledges that it's best for all of them to not be involved anymore. Our Bronze Medal of Evil goes to Harold Stretch Joseph. When we first meet Stretch, he's just getting out of prison for unspecified crimes and quickly rolls back into his gang life. As he, Franklin, and Lamar meet up with the Ballas gang for a drug deal, Stretch quickly murders gang member D after discovering it's a setup for D's kidnapping earlier in the game. He's the brains behind the drug deal on Grove Street that goes south, causing Franklin to believe he set them up. Stretch also manages to convince Lamar to do a drug deal with the Ballas, getting the young man kidnapped. It's revealed in conversation between Franklin and Lamar that Stretch made deals with the Ballas while in prison and intentionally set them up on every deal he planned. Stretch finally gets his comeuppance when Michael ties up loose ends and takes him out. Our Silver Medal of Evil goes to Agent Steve Haynes. An agent of the FIB, Steve makes it his mission in-game to secure as much funding as he can for his department of the government. Upon discovering Michael and Dave Norton's secret deal, he uses it as leverage to force Michael and his crew into doing all of his dirty work to avoid suspicion. He has them rescue and subsequently torture a man with information on terrorists and retrieve a dangerous neurotoxin from the Humane Labs. During the Humane Lab raid, Steve injures himself in order to make a play as a double agent so the rest of the crew can get out safely. However, when his motives are then brought into question, he has the crew break into the FIB building to erase the incriminating files. Despite doing this, Steve is still paranoid that he may be arrested and attempts to arrest Michael and Dave, only to end up in a four-way shootout involving the IAA and Meriwether Security.
Then put your gun down and we'll talk.
Agent Haynes attempts to try and have Franklin take out Trevor, but unfortunately the reverse ends up happening instead. Our Gold Medal of Evil goes to Devin Weston. Devin is introduced as an associate of Agent Steve Haynes and becomes a more prominent player as the game goes on. Weston employs the three protagonists to steal 5 big-ticket cars for him with the promise of a major payout. However, after the job is finished, it's revealed that Devin had no plans to pay anyone anything and just wanted the free labor. Through Devin's influence, Michael's able to meet his idol Solomon Richards, a Vinewood movie producer. After Michael does a lot of work for Mr. Richards and even becomes an associate producer, Devin steps in to shut down the studio and has his assistant take the unfinished film for the purpose of an insurance payout. Michael chases down Molly only for her to be accidentally killed in a plane turbine, causing Devin to send mercenaries to Michael's home as an act of revenge. Toward the end of the game, Devin approaches Franklin with the demand to take out Michael, to which Franklin makes the point of the agent's request for him to kill Trevor, prompting Devin to say that it's impossible to save them both and that one of them must be killed. In the canon ending, the billionaire is kidnapped by Trevor, and the three protagonists push him trapped in his car off a cliff to his fate. Now, before we close out our list, let's award some Sinner medals. The Darwin Medal goes to Wade. It's clear that Trevor took him on because he was too dim-witted to ask questions. The Pride Medal goes to Steve Haynes. He cares enough about his high-standing position that he will commit crimes in order to sustain it. The Sloth and Gluttony medals go to Jimmy. All he does is stay in his room playing video games, eating and smoking weed. What a life. The Wrath Medal goes to Trevor. It's obvious that nothing will stand in his way whenever he's angry. The Envy Medal goes to Lamar. He really wants to be better off than being the low-level gangster he is. The Greed Medal goes to Devin Weston. Devin knows how rich he is and takes any opportunity for more financial gain with little to no work involved. Finally, the Lust Medal goes to Amanda. She has no qualms being intimately involved with other men besides her husband. But let us know in the comments section if you agree, and let us know where you believe the Grand Theft Auto 5 characters rank on morality. And if you need a one-up, be sure to hit that notification bell and binge our other videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.